I want you to think for a second as you are in this place of sitting down to plan out your week for the following week. So just imagine you're pulling all your stuff out, your Google Calendar, your paper planner, and you're sitting down to plan out your week. You make sure that you have those 5 first routines plugged in. You know when you're going to be doing your daily 7 home routine. You know when you're getting up for your morning routine. You know what you're having for dinner every night of the week. You have it plugged in when you're going to be getting some movement in. You know when you're going to be updating your budget. Your 5 main core routines are plugged in. And then you're taking care of the kids, you're taking care of the house, you're doing priority tasks, you're working, you're getting your business stuff done. Whatever it is, are you also prioritizing your spouse? Because that is the one thing that when I was doing all this planning, I can work all the time. And especially on my business, when I have that passion and that drive, I just want to spend my time doing it. And one of the things that kept coming up was that I really wanted my evenings with Tony. And we have gotten to the point now, because I have set up so many routines and have created this system in our life that works really, really well, that allows me to take the evenings off, even though I am working a full-time job. I can get all my stuff done in the morning because it is very simplified and streamlined. But what kept coming up was that I wanted to do more date nights. And we spend a lot of weekends out of town or busy doing things that our weekends generally aren't our own, at least in this season of our life. And so we have to do everything in the week, and it just gets to be really busy, I guess is a way to say it. And so we have not prioritized date nights. And that was one of the things when I was doing the dream episode. So if you go back to episode 30, it is the dream episode to have 5 steps to plan out your year. And if you have not taken some time to plan out your personal goals for the year, I highly recommend you go back and listen to that one. It is not too late. But I realized when I was doing that process for myself that I really wanted to prioritize date nights in 2024. So I had asked Tony if we could do that, and also if he would sit down and do something similar to that dream episode that I went through. He did agree that he would sit down and do this process to set our goals for 2024. Now, I will be honest with you because I want to be completely transparent. We have never done this. We have never sat down and intentionally written down goals. Yes, we have talked about goals. We've created goals. We have had conversations, but we've never really actually sat down and said, this is our goal. This is when we want to reach it. Write it down. We've never gone through and tracked when we're going to do check-ins or how much progress we need to make by a certain time frame. And we've never gotten to that granular level of really breaking it down how we're actually going to reach the goal outside of budgets. Like when we have created goals for sinking funds and things like that, we have done those types of goals. But when it comes to other things, we've never really sat and broken it down. So this was something new for us. So I asked him to sit down with me, and he agreed. And so we planned a night to do this. And now I'm a planner person. I love getting into the details of things. Him, not so much. So we had to compromise a little bit. He gave in to some things for me. I kind of let go of some things for him. So we did have to compromise so that we would both be happy and not end the night pretty cranky. But we ended up having a really, really good night to really break down what our goals were. And we did this at the end of December. So we've gone a couple months in now, and it has been working so Great. Now we are only midway into February. I realize that. So we are not very far into it, but already I can feel that this is going to make a really big difference in helping us reach our goals. So I want to break down with you how we did it and how you can do it if this is something that you want to implement in your marriage as well. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. I think when you're going into this process, I think the biggest note is to not have huge expectations if your spouse isn't fully on board. Now, one of the things that, like I said, Tony is not a planner. He really just likes to do things kind of on the fly. So him sitting down to do this with me, I know was absolutely 100% only because I really wanted to do it. And so I know he was only doing it for me, but I think we both benefited from it because now we both have a clear plan, and he was a really good sport about it. So if you have a similar spouse that kind of goes into that mode, just go into it with grace and compromise and making sure, like, the whole point of this is to have fun with it and to really make sure that you guys are bonding in a way that you're creating the life that you want. And so this shouldn't be anything that you go into with arguments or getting frustrated with each other. Like, this should be really enjoyable and exciting and fun to look forward to the future. And if it has to be a simplified version, then it's going to be a simplified version. And when I went into this, I had created this whole worksheet of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to go through. And that same night, I also scrapped it because I had this whole process. And when we actually started getting into the conversation, I know he was trying, and when we started talking about it and I was getting really nitpicky about certain things on that worksheet, I could tell that he wasn't really loving it. So I just scrapped it, and we just kind of went on the fly to see what we wanted to discuss and what we wanted to do, and it ended up working really well. And I want to talk with you about that today because I think you can do this so many different ways, but the process of actually like breaking it down is the key that I think is going to take it to the next level. It's not just talking about the dreams, it's actually creating a roadmap of how to actually get there too. So what we did was, like I said, a very simplified version. Now, if you are setting up, you can do this as a date night. You could do this as a time where you can just sit down after dinner. You could do it on a Saturday morning with coffee, like whatever you want to do, whatever your space is. But give yourself some time to really talk these through and spend some one-on-one time with each other, however that works for you. So the first one that you're going to do is you're just going to grab a piece of paper. You don't need a worksheet or anything else right now. You're just going to grab a piece of paper and you are going to write anything that you really want to accomplish in this year. And when we were doing this, we kind of went through some categories. So we were thinking like, okay, well, what do we want to buy this year? Like, what are some things we're working towards with our money that we're trying to save for? Like, those are the big things. Like, for us, we are saving for a house. That is a big thing that's happening this year. Now, another thing you want to talk about is vacations. Are there any vacations you guys want to go on? Are there any goals in your marriage, in your spiritual life, in your home repair or remodeling or anything like that? Like, what are some big things that you want to achieve together in your life this year? And you could go further out, but that gets really expansive. So I would, if you're doing this for the first time, I would suggest starting smaller, because you can always do the process again and look further out if you want to. But I would start with just this year for now and then see what works for you. So you're going to just brainstorm all these ideas. And then number 2, you're going to go through them and you're going to talk about what is the most important. Now, if you don't have a ton of them, maybe they're all important and you actually want to achieve all of them this year. Maybe they're just kind of far off dreams that if they happen, great, but if they aren't going to happen, like you're not going to put a whole lot of effort into it. It would just be kind of nice. That's where you're going to determine everything in this step. You're going to look at everything and decide how important it is if you're actually going to shoot for that, because if you're going to achieve it, you probably need to make a plan to get it, right? And so for us, we ended up with 6 goals that we brainstormed that we really, really wanted. And that was what we stuck with. So we decided to go with all 6 of them. And then once you choose your priority ones, then you move into number 3, where you set your targets and your goal dates. This is where you decide, is it something you're going to need to accomplish by a certain date, or is it something that's going to be ongoing? So as an example, one of our goals was to take a vacation later this year. That obviously has a goal date, where another one of our goals was to do a regular date night. And that one doesn't have a deadline on it. That is something that we want to do all year long and potentially or hopefully right into 2025. So that is something that we didn't have a goal. We just needed to say how often we wanted to have a date night. So it wasn't a specific time ending, it was the recurrence of it. So you're going to have to play with which goals you have and what that target date looks like for you, or what the target goal is for you on each specific thing. So that is the next step, is to set that for each of your goals. And then you go into step 4, which is to actually create the plan on how to get there. So as an example, again, for our vacation, we know exactly where we want to go. And so we had to decide, how much money do we need to save for that vacation? And we needed to break it down on how much we need to save total, which means how much do we need to save each month? And if we need to break it down even more, how much do we need to save each paycheck? And we needed to create that roadmap of how we're actually going to get to the goal of hitting our target date. For our date nights, we wanted to know exactly how often did we want to go on date nights and what was going to be our plan to stick to date nights. So we decided to do it on the first Tuesday of every month and just start with monthly date nights, because we're so bad at date nights, guys. Like we never we're always spending time at home, like doing, shows or movies or something like that. That's how we spend time together, but we don't actually go out and do things very much. So that is something that we're going to be working on. And so we decided, let's start with once a month. We can handle that. So we decided to what date we were going to do it. And if we need to adjust, we can adjust throughout the year, but that is our goal. And so as you're going through each of your goals, decide those things. Like if you're having, a family day once a month where you're doing some big family event, pick a day. What day are you going to do it? What works well? For the most part, if you have to adjust, you can always adjust later. But if you have to pick one day, what works best for you? And just create these goals and actually build the plan on how you're going to get there. And if it's money that you need to break down how much you need to save and then how much you need to save each month. So you have a full solid plan to help you reach that goal. And then you move into step 5 once you understand all the details of each goal, and you schedule your check-ins. Like, how are you going to keep each other accountable to your goals? Now, this was what was really exciting for me, because I kind of pulled all of it together, and rather than just doing our, normal check-ins, like I have a little task on our calendar to update our budget and things like that. But we wanted more of a solid like check-in so we could really see the progress we were making overall on our goals. I wanted our goals to really be front and center for us this year so that we wouldn't kind of lose track of them. So what we did is we have I can't talk. We got this like really pretty leather notebook that's just a small notebook from, I think it might have been from like Walmart or Target, but it's just this little leather notebook. And what we did is in the beginning of it, we wrote out our 2024 goals. And like I said, we have 6 of them. And so I wrote down all of our 6 goals on the front sheet. And then as you flip through the pages, the whole spread is one goal at a time. So on the left-hand page, it is goal number 1, and we wrote it out, and then we wrote down I wrote it as mission, like why do we want to do this and what does this mean for us? And then I just did bullet points of what we had talked about of why we want to do that goal and what we actually need to do to reach that goal. And then underneath that, I wrote check-ins in one on the left-hand side, and then I wrote progress on the right-hand side. And this is where it gets really cool because we can actually document our progress, and we have planned to do updates to this notebook on our date nights. So that is what we've been doing, and it has been so fun because we have now, because we've been doing monthly date nights, we now have 2 check-ins on each of these sheets because as you flip through our book, we have all 6 goals. And so we have been able to update these twice already during our date nights. And like the last one, we just took the notebook with us to the restaurant. And as we were sitting there, we ordered our food and everything. And as we were sitting there, we pulled out the notebook, and then I had to check some things on my phone for like our budgets and how much we've saved for certain things and all that stuff. So I was on my phone checking those things on our Google Drive or our Google Sheet budget. And Tony was the one that was updating everything in the notebook. And it was so much fun to see like how we were looking at reaching our goals, and then also seeing the progress that we've already made in just this super short amount of time. It was so much fun. And he was even smiling during it. So I'm like, okay, this is working. Like, I know he wasn't super thrilled about doing it in the beginning, but I think this is going to be a really cool process for us to just continue. And obviously, I mean, this is a notebook, so we've got lots of pages to fill up. So I'm excited to get through this year and then just continue using this notebook as we move forward through the years. I'm excited about it, and I know it's just going to be a really good practice moving forward because it's never felt this organized for our marriage goals. And I think it's just going to be a fantastic addition to what we're already doing. So if this is a routine that you want to put into place, I highly recommend you try it. If anything, it's just a good bonding experience and the ability to really have a conversation to see where you're both at and if you're heading towards the right direction together. Like, you want to make sure you're on the same page, not just assume you're on the same page. And this was just a really fun way of doing it. So I'll break it down one more time so that you can go through those steps. And so number 1, you're just going to brainstorm ideas on a piece of paper. Ask each other what you want in different areas of your life. You can talk about vacations, things you're saving for, things for your house that you want to do, like any type of goal, date nights, family days, any of those types of goals. Like, what would you envision for the year that you really want to achieve in your marriage or in your family life? Number 2, choose what is the most important to focus on. So have that conversation together and decide, of this whole brainstormed list, what are the most important ones that you want to put your focus into that you're actually going to break down and really focus on achieving. Number 3, set your targets and your goal dates. When are you doing these, and at what point would you consider this accomplished? Like, what are the details of what's going to get you there and why you're getting there? Number 4, create the plan of breaking it all into steps. So get your target date, get your target numbers, and then start breaking them down and working backwards to figure out what you need to do each week, month, day, whatever it is, what you need to do to reach your goal by the target date. And then number 5, schedule your check-ins. You can do this on a calendar. You can do it in your paper planner. I would highly recommend working off your Google Calendar first, because then you can update your paper planner if anything changes later. And then you also want to decide when you're checking in. So if you're doing it like we are and you're actually doing all of your big check-ins for all of the goals on your date night, make sure you're not missing that date night so that you aren't missing that check-in. And that is it for those 5 steps. But I just had so much fun doing this, and I really hope you take it and it helps you really break things down and don't feel like you have to have a ton of goals. And if you only have one solid goal that you're focusing on, just do that one solid goal. And if you have 20 different goals, be a little careful. It might seem really overwhelming. So try and figure out what are your priorities, break it down, and really focus on what is most important for you in your marriage right now. And that is what you want to focus on. And just make sure you're kind of tweaking it as you need to. So if it doesn't flow exactly like this, then tweak it as you need to make sure it works for both of you and that you both enjoy this process, because it is definitely supposed to be a fun process and just help you work together as a team moving forward. But I have loved doing the check-ins on our date nights, and if you can do it that way, I would highly recommend doing it that way. So I hope you take this and you really enjoy this process, because it is a ton of fun. And before I let you go today, I do want to ask a quick question. If you have been enjoying the show, have you left a review yet? Because you have a chance to enter our giveaway that is happening right now in our Facebook community. So you can hop over and join us there at facebook.com/groups/theroutineadvantagecommunity. And it is super, super easy to enter. Our goal is to share the show and reach more women out there that are feeling super overwhelmed, so that they know how they can get organized and feel like they have the support that we have in this community, which has been absolutely amazing. So we definitely want to share the word, and we also want to give away a prize so that it makes it worth your time, because I know it takes time out of your day to share and leave those reviews, and I truly, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate it, and I'm hoping that we can reach many more women during this process. So to get entered, it is incredibly easy. So you're first going to want to go to Apple Podcasts, scroll to the bottom to the write a review section in little purple letters at the bottom of our show. And then you're going to click on that. You're going to write a review, leave 5 stars, and take a screenshot and then submit that review. Then you're going to save that screenshot and go and pop it over into our Facebook group. There is a pinned post at the top of the group for this giveaway. You're just going to drop that screenshot into the comments of that post, and you are entered. Now, if you aren't on Apple Podcasts or you're listening on a different app, I don't think they allow you to write a written review. So you can either leave a 5-star review on that podcast app and take a screenshot, or if you've already left a review and you don't have the option to leave another one, then you can also just pick your favorite episode and text it to a friend or message it to them, email it to them, or even share it on your social media or in your stories. And whatever you're doing, sharing it with others, make sure you take a screenshot of it and then come and drop that in the comments of that pinned post in our Facebook group. It is incredibly easy, and all you have to do is take that screenshot and come and drop it in there. And you can do this every day. If you are sharing it with somebody else every day, or you're sharing it in your stories every day, you can do that and just drop that screenshot into the pin post. And at the end of the month, we are going to draw a winner for your Organized Life Blueprint, and you are going to get your very own copy of the blueprint, which is the 8-week workbook that walks you through step by step on how to create and implement the 5 core foundational routines. So this allows you to make sure that your morning routine is set up, your meal planning routine is set up, your daily 7 home routine is set up to get your house clean in 30 minutes a day to keep a tidy home. You're going to be able to be scheduling your movement in every day so that you feel great, and you're going to have your base budget completely set up so that you can have a really solid budget routine to help you stay on track with your money. It is incredible and it is so much fun, and I know you're going to love the blueprint. So that is the prize, and that is how you get entered. It is so stinking easy. We wanted to make it easy so that it was worth your time, and it was allowing everybody to get the word out there to share the show with others. We are so close to hitting 10,000 downloads, which is phenomenal and more than we had anticipated in this time frame of launching the podcast, since it is still so new. But we are thrilled for it, and we thank you for being here, and I am so grateful for each and every one of you. So go and share the podcast, and make sure you come and share your screenshot so that you can get entered, and good luck to you. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.